Hey there, this is John Anthony Francis Wilcox, and today is Saturday, the 28th. Yes, the 28th of September 2024. I hope you're all doing well. Let's see what's been going on. Show and tell, as always. Look, it's Triangle, another Star Trek book of the original Kirk Spock, with, by the way, I might add, it's a very nice Boris Vallejo cover. And it's another one of the books my friend Suzanne gave me. So starting, just about 50 pages in or so, getting there. Um, so what's been going on this week? One of the things, let me find it here. Yes, I found this tape that I need to transcribe, at least the first interview on it, which is from Fiona, the singer from the 80s who had the hit Talk to Me. Not Fiona Apple. Fiona Flanagan was her last name, but she just went under Fiona on my mom's birthday, July the 9th, 1985, which would have been my mom's 56th birthday. So let's tell you the story about that. There's a funny story about this. So Fiona was playing Toad's Place around April, May, June of 1985. I forget the exact date. And I had spoken to her publicist at Atlantic Records, a guy named Horace Burrell, who died I think less than a year later. And I wanted to do an interview with Fiona, and he said, "Oh, she's not doing interviews, but I'll put you on the list for the show so you can go cover it." So, okay. So I didn't obviously bring any kind of recorder or anything with me. I brought my camera, and I was going to go to the gig with my friend Colin, who was at work. And so I took the train down early in the afternoon, and they let me hang out inside Toads at that time because they knew me and they knew I wasn't a problem and I wasn't a jerk. Just I hope they knew that. And so I was sitting on a bench inside watching Fiona and her band play. And then in between songs, she'd come over to me and say, "Well, how was that?" "Oh, that was pretty good. I like that. That was great." And so she would do that for a couple of songs, and that they finished up their rehearsal. And then she came over and said, "Tell me about you." And I said, "Well, I'm here to cover the show. And I was going to do an interview, but Horace Burrell said you're not doing any interviews." And she's like, "What?" "Of course I'm doing interviews." She goes, "You got a tape recorder with you?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you have a pad with you?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you have a good memory?" And I said, "No." And we were talking, and at the time I was still in a band called Kiss the Bishop, and that band would soon be dissolving, but it was still together at that moment, I guess. And I was telling her about that. We just had a nice conversation. And I believe at the time she was either just dating or had just broken up with Julian Lennon for no reason at all. That's part of the story. Anyway, before showtime, Colin gets there. We're good to go. We're right up against the stage. And as the band is playing, during one of the songs, it was like a love song. I think it was her song, Love Can Make You Blind, or Love Will Make You, whatever's the proper title on that. Anyway, she was singing it about this far from my face. And I just remember Colin in my ear saying something like, "Son of a bitch," jokingly. And I was just embarrassed because, I don't know, there's this beautiful woman singing to my face. And anyway, so rest of the show was great. And afterwards we'd go downstairs at Toad's to go backstage, and the security guard, I think it might have been Tank at the time, isn't letting anyone back there. And Fiona she opens up the door, and puts her arm over him and onto me and goes, "He comes back." And I said, "What about my friend?" She's like, "Him too." And so Colin and I went backstage, and I remember there was a deli platter because I remember Fiona eating a piece of cheese and going, "Cheese is good." And she's wearing like, I forget if it was tiger or leopard, black and white spandex pants and like a little crop top. And she must have weighed 100 pounds top, uh, as they would say, soaking wet. And she jumps up into the air and wraps her legs around me and puts her arms around my neck and is like, "So how was the show?" And so we're talking, and then it's time to go. So Colin and I left. I don't think either of us. I recall Colin going, "I don't want to go." I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But she was wonderful. So cut to this July the 9th. So I did get an interview with her, and it was at her manager's, not her publicist, her manager's apartment in New York City, down in the Village, as I recall. So went down there, and I thought, there's no way Fiona's going to remember me, you know. I'm sure she meets tons of people every day. So it's time to do our interview, and she comes into the room and shouts, "John!" And then comes and sits on my lap. And I did the whole interview with her on my lap, which was a first and only, I must say. That was quite distracting. And at the end, I said, "Well, I usually like come up with a clever title for an interview or that, so I'm going to let you do it." I gave her my pad, and she wrote down, "The Bishop grants Fiona an audience," which showed me, of course, that she remembered my band at the time and all of that. And so what I want to do is I want to transcribe this and put it up on Prague Sheet, and I'm going to call it "The Bishop Grants Fiona an Audience." So there you go. Little story for you. Little rock and roll story from the Wilcox Vaults of Obscurity. Um, Beyond that, had some lovely conversations this week with my friend Joyce. Friend Larry called today. I talked to Mike, um, Dawn, and I feel like I should be going romper, bomper, stomper, boo. Magic mirror, tell me true. Magic mirror, tell me today. Did all my friends have fun at play? I see Larry, and I see Joyce, and of course I see you. Anyway, that's it. So enough of that. I had some lovely conversations this week, as always. um, Big for me this week was that I made with my nephew Michael's invaluable help, I made a very nice big pot of sauce with homemade meatballs and hot Italian sausage. And we had that with ziti ricotti. And tonight, this afternoon, I should say, I made some wonderful chumbot, which is an Italian thing that I'll put a picture of in here somehow. And that came out really good. It's an old family thing where you use up stuff. In this case, like hot dogs and zucchini, and you dice them up. You put a little olive oil, let that simmer, let the squash cook. Put in tomato sauce. In fact, I used the last of the sauce that I made with the big pot of. And then when that's all cooked, you beat up a couple of eggs, a bunch of eggs. I put a half a dozen eggs, and a fistful of I put freshly grated Parmesan cheese, and stir that up, and it is delightful. And I had a little dish of it, and it was nicey nice, and I'll have that over the next several days at lunchtime. So good stuff, good stuff. Beyond that, I uh, put up a review on my site. I was talking with um, communications from various record companies, got a package in with, I guess it's in advance of this new 1982 live Fleetwood Mac double CD. Um, and I am told that I have on the way to me a however many disc set of broadcasts of the band Renaissance from the 70s. So I'm really looking forward to that. And who knows what else is going on. Uh, my health, I hyperextended my knee yesterday, so it still hurts like anything. And looks like we're getting into a milder time of year now. So I think that's most everything for now. Tell you more stories, and you know what? In the following weeks, I'm sure that I will. Oh, and Grace Mary, of course, came by on Thursday. Always lovely to see her. She's a wonderful person, and I am very blessed to have her in my life, bringing me my communion. So I hope you're all doing well. I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.